Hi, everybody. It's time for another cosmic forecast where we weave human design, gene keys, and astrology. Usually in human design and gene keys, we don't use the aspect so much, the relationship between the different planets. And right now in the sky, those aspects, those relationships are really, really interesting and really intense. So in this reading, I can't help myself. I am going to show you some of these aspects. And I want to also speak about how we can include them into human design and into the gene keys. So let me share the screen. And the program that I'm using is Genetic Matrix. I'll make sure I put the link for that as well. I use the Pro membership, which really shows you a lot of different views and possibilities with these three systems: gene keys, human design, and astrology. And it's very recent that gene keys is a part of this website. That's kind of why I'm endorsing it. So here you have the neutrino conditioning weather. So this is human design language for right now in UTC time. And what I really want to show you here is that we have the Sun and Jupiter together, conjunct, in Aquarius in the 19th gate. And right opposite, so here what is when we speak programming partners, right? In gene key language, right opposite, we have the Moon and the Earth. This is and we see that through the red line as well. So here we have opposition and programming partner. And this is also what creates the full moon, because when we have the moon completely opposite, then the sun, that is when we have the full moon. So it's a full moon, we have these interesting conjunctions that are going on. And then the other aspect that is very powerful right now is the square. So square is a 90 degree aspect. So we have the opposition, which is right next, just on the other side of the wheel, so right over. But we also have the aspects that create like the quadrants, the squares. So here you can see that if I do, yeah, you can see that we have a 90 degree angle from this to the Sun and Jupiter, and also to the Moon and the Earth. So that is powerful. And a square is always a kind of tension. It's this square. There's a tension between the opposition is similar, but almost like the square can be more challenging. So we see here we have an Earth sign. We have Mars and Uranus. They are both kind of, especially in the low frequency, they can be quite reactive and quite volatile. And then they are in Taurus. I don't really think that they like to be in an Earth sign anyway. So already where they are not super, super happy. And then they are squaring the Moon and the Earth in Leo in this gate 33, that is about storytelling and about that coming back to that medicine woman. So in a way, there could be a good tension between this Earth Sun of Taurus and then the medicine woman in the Moon that has this kind of going deeper into the Moon aspects, into the shadow aspects, and including the Earth, maybe in a way that she hasn't been able to do before. And then we have the Aquarius. So here I feel this is an air sign, and here it could be a little bit more of a difficult tension, because we have Jupiter, we have the Sun in this 19, and then of course already the opposition. We have to look at the shadow frequencies of the 33, which is forgetting, kind of just being busy in many different experiences, not retreating enough to feel like, why am I here? What's my purpose? Not have that revelation of why am I here? Why am I human? The forgetting in the lower frequency, together with the lower frequency of the 19, which is a kind of codependency. When we don't have interdependency, we might have codependency or hyper independency, I could even say, for the 19. It's like that, almost the blockage of not being able to have relationships that are balanced. And I feel as well, now we don't have the 49, but we had it last week when we were going into the new year. We had a 49 as well that was activated, which is the harmonic gate to the 19, which has to do with those needs, the emotional needs of often what we think that we are entitled to have, for example, in relationships, but many times that can actually cause that codependency. So I feel like a lot of what's happening right now in the world is the mutation. It has to do with the mutation of the solar plexus center, where we get to look at these things. Are these needs coming from my true self, or are they coming from my ego? Or are they coming from wanting to control my partner? Where are they coming from? And really more go into the true sensitivity of who you are. And here we see the sun and Jupiter, masculine archetypes. This has to do with your expansion. This has to do with your radiance in the world. Can you more come into your true sensitivity of what's possible, of what truth is, in a way, especially in relationship, is what I would say. And that is connected to this 33, the ability to retreat. And we know that 2020 was a year where we got to retreat, whether we wanted it or not, in a certain way. But this is a retreat that is connected to the moon, like we were saying before. So there are also kind of shadow aspect, the deeper aspects, the emotional aspects. And there's something here we could say, Leo is a bit dramatic. It's a fire sign. So when we have a little bit of this dramatic Leo that kind of wants to stand on the stage and that kind of play its theater, and we have the moon there, we can see how this could become quite dramatic, this in very much where we are right now. And that's where I feel like this Aquarius is actually balancing. So here we have fire, we have the moon, we have the depth, we have more of this feminine archetype somehow. That's where we want to come into the sensitivity that is in the air, the intuition that is in the air, that is going to lead us into the sensitivity where we're going to start to be able to relate to ourselves in the 19 and to others in a way that isn't connected to the codependency. Or here we also have the 30, the desires that are the ego desires, or the dishonoring that we are playing over and over and over again in our lives, maybe for some kind of trauma or emotional blockage that's there. That's what I feel a lot that this 19 is having us look at, and how it's accentuated because it has both the Jupiter and the sun in it. So those are the main things that I would say. And this is all kind of all looking at the aspects, right? So if we wouldn't use the wheel, we would not be able to see that. We would just have this table or this list of all the gates. And this is more and more what I've been seeing this last few weeks, that when we look at the body graph in a kind of list way, we aren't seeing the cyclical truth of it, the circular truth of it, we are a little bit lost. Like we are not maybe lost, but we are minimizing the potential to kind of being boxed in your own profile. If you just look at your body graph without seeing your astrology, like what are the relationships? For example, here we have a lot of planets, which we have had for a long time now, in Capricorn and Aquarius. This whole thing where used to be more in Capricorn last year, and this year we have much more of a stellium in Aquarius. That's important. But if you just look at the normal body graph, you won't even have the planets, you won't even have the elements. And a lot of what I was just saying about Aquarius, Leo, and Taurus had to do with the elements, and also had to do with the nature of the astrological sign. So for me, that is a very important extra explanation of each gate. That is important even for human design and gene keys, and the understanding of the nature of each one of the gates or gene keys. And I'm just looking if there's anything else that I wanted to add. Oh, it's interesting. I didn't know that in this one Chiron was actually also. I know that we can add Chiron in genetic matrix, but here we see that Chiron is added to this chart. And the interesting thing here is that Chiron doesn't show up in the body graph. So we have 17 comes from the Ajna center and points towards the throat center. And here you see that it is in the list, but it's not in here. And that is because in traditional human design, which sounds funny to say traditional, we don't use Chiron. But there is something really powerful with using Chiron, especially in my own case. I've had Chiron on my own Venus in the 11th house now for several months. And I have asked myself, what does that mean? What does that mean? And it hasn't been easy to really discern what it means to have it there. And I've been looking at, of course, everything has to do with Venus. It has to do with values. It has to do with love, knowing that I'm also a Taurus sun sign, so that's connected with Venus. And that's, yeah, I feel like Chiron is the wounded healer. It's part of our core wound. I actually have Chiron very close to my sun, almost conjunct in my natal chart. So to have it now on Venus, that is also saying something about what it is in my natal chart. I do feel like we can learn a lot from including Chiron, and it was a nice surprise to see that it's here. I would also say that, well, like we saw last week, we had the 6124 in the new year that was activated. We did have those two centers as well that were activated, if I remember right. There is a kind of split here. I feel, again, it's very important to be grounded in our physicality. It's important to not get carried away with our emotions, but to let them inform us. That's always, you know, emotions are movement, our spice, our experiences. There's depth, but it's not ever going to, it's not ever forever. That's kind of what we can say with emotions. And this is, we have the inner truth, and we have the kind of insights, or the rationalization of the 24, and to just stay here can be a little bit exhausting, especially in the lower frequencies, but even in the higher frequencies. I feel like this channel needs to be grounded in the root and the emotions. And then we have a lot of openness, so completely open G center, completely open spleen. What I feel for this is that, you know, these are fear gates and intuition. And there's something here where maybe there might be something this week that you're overlooking, that actually a normal person would feel like, oh my God, no, this is not good. And maybe when it's completely open, it can be a little bit harder to discern what's not good and what is. Or there could be an extra sensitivity as well. So here we have immune center as well, in immune system as well. So tune into that sensitivity of the open spleen. And then the completely open G is about my identity, my direction, knowing what love is, without having the outside of you influence it. So to not outsource your identity, your direction, what love is, on somebody else, on the white prince that comes and says that it's going to save you. And I feel like that's extra important right now in society. Like, nothing on the outside is going to save you. There is no prince. There is not the woman that you've been waiting for your whole life. That's not the job. There's nothing really that you can attach to that can give you a true sense of direction, a true sense of identity, or even giving you the love that you don't have in yourself. So really, with that openness in the G center, in the soul of who we are, it comes from the inside, and it is going out in the world. And we can see again Pluto, which has been in the 61 in Capricorn now for a very, very long time. We have a detriment here. That is the inner truth. That's the inner truth. Is so important. If you listen to the outside, to everything that your head as an antenna takes in, that can very easily be psychosis. And the 24 that's activated right now is going to have that psychosis go over and over and over and over again in trying to rationalize it. But you can't rationalize psychosis. It's never going to lead anywhere. So that's why the open G center together with the 61 is telling you to come to the inner truth, to come back to the G and live it from the inside, radiating it out into the world. I guess that is more than enough for the neutrino conditioning weather, and I'll be back next week. Thank you.